First of all, a very good morning, good evening, yes. Hello guys, thank you so much for attending the first session of the Android Study Jam. And for the next session, we'll be continuing in shortly, a minute or two. But for the time being, I would like you and request you all to submit the form that is provided in the link of the description. Thank you all for attending the first session and hope you attend this well too. Thank you. So we will now begin, and I guess by now you have all filled the form that is provided in the link in the description. Kindly fill that, and you can ask your further queries in the session. Firstly, let me begin shortly with this, and let's begin the session. So first of all, thank you all for attending the previous session, and now we are here again with our latest session, session number 2 of the Android Study Jams. So on behalf of DSC-AKGEC, I would like to welcome you all. My name is Anshika Bajpai, and I am your Android facilitator for this course. So for this Android Study Jams, by now you are all aware what is Study Jams and what it is about. It's basically a group of people who are going to converse, going to interact with each other to learn Kotlin and its functions, right? So prior programming track, and we have a session 2 on this. Now in this track, today we will be discussing the unit 1, and there are 2 units which you must have if you have logged into the course. If you haven't also, there isn't any problem. We will be logging into the session, and we'll be seeing how it works. We'll also be downloading the Android Studio. So if you do not have any prior knowledge to it of how to do it and all, so you do not need to worry about that. We'll see it as we will be proceeding in the advancement of the lectures. Okay. So there isn't any problem with that scene. Now you must be well aware just the gist of all what we are about to do and what we have already done. We will be discussing in a quick. We will be taking a quick recap in 5 or 10 minutes, and then we will be starting our session for today. So basically, what are the Android study jams? So the Android study jams are community-based organized study jams for people to learn how to build the Android apps. So this is through the meaning of using the online training session, right? So from the prior programming experience track, we'll be starting in just a minute. So let's take a quick recap of what is a programming prior track and what's it all about. So first of all, we have already discussed that it's containing the essentials of the Kotlin programming language. Then we are also going to learn about the fundamentals of the Android development, and we are also getting the hands-on experience of how the Android builds our app through Kotlin. Then what are the prerequisites of this programming track? The prerequisites are as simple as follows. You just have to need a prior knowledge of the object-oriented programming language. So this is just a basic gist of it. You do not need to worry about anything. We'll take it slow and firm. One is familiar with how to use an IDE. So if you are or if you are not even aware of what is Android Studio, you do not need to worry about it. I'll as such take this very slow and will also help you to understand how to install that. You should also be familiar with the GitHub. So I had DSC has already conducted some of the previous GitHub sessions, so you can also refer to them. In case you have any query or doubt, you'll ask me and I'll be solving them. Right. Then is the curriculum used. So curriculum we are using two types of software. First is the Kotlin Con and the other one that is the normal Android Studio, and you can only refer to that. Okay. Then further, to a prior programming track, the things which we are going to discuss today are, previously we have discussed the Kotlin cones, right? What is Kotlin, how it is done, and what are the things, series, how it follows. So we have discussed it in Kotlin cones. Now today we'll be building our first app. The first app is simply installing and setting the Android Studio. So you build your first Hello World app, Android app in Kotlin. Then secondly, we'll be building an interactive app. Then that interactive app can be a dice roller app or sort of like that. So learn the basic anatomy of the Android app project, how to add the images to your app, and how to enable the backward compatibility of an app while creating a dice roller app. So this is the two tracks which we'll be covering. We'll also be covering the pathway of layouts. What are layouts? We are going to create different types of layouts, add user interactivity to it, and add use of the data binding. Data binding, you must all be aware of what it is. It's the abstraction. So what is abstraction all about? Abstraction is about hiding the internal details and showing only the important details, right? So we are going to implement abstraction here also. We are also going to implement here the concepts of method overriding and method overloading in certain scenarios, right? Further, when we move on, we are also going to learn about the fourth phase, that is the navigation. Learn how the multi-screen navigation works by creating a fragment, define the navigation paths, and start an external activity to developing a trivia app. So this is about navigation. How are we going to navigate through screen? The multi-screen navigation that are we going to pull through, right? Then we have the activity and the fragment life cycles. The activity and the fragment life cycles for in any other programming language, you must have already worked on this. But for here, we do not have widgets here. We have activity, and we also have fragment life cycles. So how to handle the complex life cycle situations, how they are going to arise, and use logging to help debug and track the state of the app by creating the desert clicker app. So we'll be creating the desert clicker app. These are the names of the app. Firstly, we'll be creating the Hello World interactive dice roller app. Then we are going to create two interactive apps. Then we are going to create the navigation or a trivia app, and then we are going to create the activity and the fragments lifecycle app. Then we are also going to create the architectural components, like learn about the view model of the app, how the live data is there, how the data binding is done with the help of the model and the live data, and the live data, how the transformation is occurring, right, by completing the carrots of games app. So this whole process would be done with the help of the carrot games app, right? Then we are gonna state the use in the seventh track of the databases and the recycler view. So for today's session, we are only doing the first build your first app, build an interactive app, layouts, navigation, and the activity and the fragments lifecycle. For the rest 6 to 10, we will be covering it in the third session, and for that third session, we will be getting an app of the Track My Sleep app, the Real Estate app, and the best practices, the Google Developers Group Finders app. So you will be designing these kinds of apps, and most of the sessions are given. I will just be briefing you about them using the code labs, using the means of code labs. I will also be telling you how to use the Android Studio and how to download it. Now for prerequisites, we have already discussed nothing new. Like you have to have a general basic concepts or knowledge of OOPS language, comfortable with using an IDE, which I will be facilitating you with. Then you should be familiar with navigating over GitHub. If you don't have a prior experience, you can also refer to the videos that are provided in the DSC-AKGEC page of YouTube, and you can refer to them. In case further you don't have that clear or you do not understand anything, you can just ask me on WhatsApp and I'll be clearing your doubts there. Or you can also ask here also. You should have a basic computer literacy, you should have a good internet connection, and then Android device and a USB cable. Means either we'll be using an emulator for that purpose, which I'll be telling you what an emulator is, or you can view your app, the one you are processing, the one you are making on your mobile phones also. Okay, so it's like a Android emulator is a virtual device, and it's on the Android Studio only, which you create, and on which you can view your apps. You can further use it USB debugging, and you can enable it in your phones, which is a much easier option and a way more convenient than using the Android emulator. But we'll be using that too also. So apps you will be building, so simply the Dice Roller app. The Dice Roller app will be a simple one, the About Me app, and the Color My Views app. Okay, so these three are the apps which we are going to be building today. So today's schedule, simple, we are going to take a presentation like this we are doing, simple pathways, and we'll be discovering 5 pathways today. A concept overview. By the time we are doing the session, please do write your chat in the do fill the attendance form in the description link given. Now, first of all, what is an Android Studio and why do we need to use it, right? Android Studio is the official tool that the professional Android developers use to build the Android apps. There is a lot of functionality available in the Android Studio to help you build your app. So there's a lot of functionalities, there are a lot of things that are available. You build apps in Android Studio with the help of Kotlin language, not only Kotlin but also a little bit of XML, which is an extensible markup language. So with the help of XML also you just write this, and XML it's quite similar to HTML only, but it's a little bit different. While you have to not go into the details because it's a matter of a drag and drop, where you can add different kinds of layouts to your app, different kinds of text buttons and text views and images and In short, you can add anything. You can just have to drag and drop, and it would be adjusted by itself. You do not need to do anything for that kind of purpose. But the thing is that the Android Studio is a official tool that professional Android developers use, and it's basically used to build the Android apps, right? And it uses two languages, which can be, if you are using Kotlin, then you can just, in fact, you can work on anything. If you are using Flutter also, then you must also have basic knowledge of Android Studio, because it's a must when you're working with it. Then the Android emulator, I've already told you that it's a virtual device that we create inside of the Android Studio. Means if this is the Android Studio, here is the there's an option to enable the emulator, and you can emulate. You can enable this emulator. You will run to deliver your app on this emulator, and this allows you to test your app in the real time. The real time means that during the time of the execution of the program, you can check the output uh, on that screen, right? So it's up to you how you're gonna do it, and that's the Android emulator was all about. And we'll also be using the Android apps for that sake. So that's all what is Android emulator about. But you can also use the debugging options for that sake, and you'll be using the debugging options also, right? So debugging also helps you to do that. I mean the mobile phones, right? So we have also talked about the mobile phones once, and the mobile phones also helps you to interact and to debug, and that's a way better because it requires less space and it's easier to use. Then we'll be building layouts. We'll be trying different kinds of layouts, using different kinds of layouts. We are gonna add user interactivity. We are gonna add data binding to our application. Okay, so by the time we further continue, I would like to explore some of the sites the site that will be there for the Android Studio, how to download that, right? Till it's getting loaded, we'll be checking out the further details too. So first of all, what this layout was all about. The layout is like the basic building block of a program. Oh goodness. Layout is like the basic building block of a program, right? So in order to maintain the flexibility of the app, in order to maintain it, in order to make it more user interactive, in order to gain a better UI to an app, you are using these layouts. There are three kinds of layout basically. First is the relative layout, the other layout is a constraint layout, and the other one is the linear layout. We'll be talking about it in the future, but to get a better UI, the punchline of these layouts is simply that is to get a better UI, the user interface, right guys? And then we'll be using and implementing the data binding on it. Then is views. There are three kinds of views. Firstly, one is the text view, the other one is the image view, and another one is the button. So what is a text view? Like I say, hello Android. So it's a text view, right? We have to drag it. So simple. I have already told you that in Android Studio, we do not have to write long codes for certain things. Like if we have to implement a box in our program, if you have to write a text, we simply just drag the text view inside the screen, and we can get the hello Android. Then simply drag and drop of the image view and button. We just have to fix the sizes, implement it, and that's how it goes. Then the view groups. There are different kinds of view groups in it. First is the frame layout, the second is the linear layout, and third is the constraint layout. So what is a frame layout? Frame layout simply that in one of the kind of layouts where there is only a frame and there is just a text view. Simple, only one option can be enabled. Linear layout, simple clarity. The figure in itself explains the linear layout, that there's we can enable the text view and the text view and the button, or we can also engage a radio button, that is a multiple of option like we have in our objective MCQ paper, or we can also like that. So it is like a linear layout being implemented. Then the third thing is that we can implement a constraint layout. So guys, what is constraint layout? Constraint layout means in a single screen we can implement multiple of things, and with giving certain differences in the width, certain differences in depth. So they are on the basis of the differences. So they are the constraint layout. Linear layout is line by line only, right? But constraint layout can be any way. We just have to put certain number of specifications, and that's how it works. Declare layouts in XML, simple to do that. Text view, we just have to write here like it's written, text view. We can enable image view, we can enable anything. Now how to declare the text, that is text view, Android text hello world, Android layout with wrap content, and Android layout height. So the height and the width of this hello world is being decided with the help of this text view, that is declared layout in HTML. So with this we are going to start how this programming session. This site you have already must have viewed, or in case you haven't viewed still, you can just go through there, do ample amount of questions on start Kotlin cones, and then we can go on further to the course. So what this course is about and how are we going to begin. Let's start with it. Yeah, so this is the site which I was talking about, and this is the new to programming track, and this is the prior to programming experience track. We have already checked what the start cones are, how to begin with them, how to implement them, and how we're gonna use it. And the second track which we are gonna talk about is the start course, right? So this start course, firstly, it shows the simple that welcome to the Android Kotlin fundamental, and it's a 2-unit course. You'll learn fundamentals of Android development and best practices as you build a collection of Android apps in the Kotlin programming language. So for you all to be eligible for the certificate, you have to do the prior programming track, right? And in this prior programming track you have to complete both the units, okay, like unit 1, and similarly you have to also do the unit 2. So in the unit 1 we'll now shortly begin, and like 5 batches are divided in 5 activities are there, right? So 5 activities for today and the 5 activities for the next section. So now we are going to begin with the activities. The first activity is build your first Android app. Explore it. So first of all it says install the Android Studio, right? So when you will enable this, you'll see that install Android Studio for the first time, and it says take code lab. So when you click on this option, you'll be directed to the code labs, where it will be showing Android Kotlin fundamental install Android Studio. So it has given the steps that this code lab is part of the Android fundamentals course. You will get most of this course if you work through this. Introduction, you'll learn how to install an Android Studio. That's Google's Android development environment. And what you'll need, a simple Windows or a Linux or a Mac running. And so minimum, and I also want to clarify that there are different softwares for the different number of RAMs. Matlab in the sense ki there's no restriction that if your RAM is about 4 GB, so it won't be working, or if it's 8 GB RAM, then it won't be, the Android Studio would work, or for 12 it would work. The specifications is a accurate system requirement, but it will work for it, right? So there are different kinds of versions for the Android Studio. You can just check from the official site and you can download it. Well, the site and the link I would be also telling them, but for now we'll be starting with it. Then install the Android Studio. So there's a main page, you can go there and install this Android Studio. There are different kinds of plugins. So this is all about the lab 1. Then you are done with it. Congratulations. And next we'll begin with getting started with the just a minute. Getting started, right? Yeah, so getting started, they're taking the next code lab session. So next code lab session is all about how to create a Hello World program code, right? And show it. So introduction, simply you should already know. And so what you will learn here, the main basic things of this, what first you should do while opening these exercises is what you will do and what you will learn. So what you will learn in this Android Kotlin fundamentals, like you will learn how to build a basic Android app in Android Studio, how to create an Android project from a template, how to find the major components of Android project, how to run an Android app on an emulator or a physical device, right? So this is all about. Now what you will do is explore the Android manifest.xml. So it's a file in Android Studio. There you will learn what this is about. Create a new project and default app called Hello World. Create an emulator or virtual device so that you can run your app on your computer. Run the Hello World on virtual devices. Explore the project layout and explore the Android manifest. Next, we'll be so app overview, simple and Hello World app will be there. A simple, as my screen is visible to all of you, you must be seeing that there's a screen that is showing the Hello World in its middle. So we'll be printing this, we'll be begin with that. Then these are all the demo screenshots of what how it happens and how you're gonna create. First of all, let me show you this demo first, and then you will be, we're just gonna skip this part. It will be very easy for all of us. Just a minute. So first of all, if you go to this Android Studio that is in the upper dash of your corner, you will see the Android Studio and it will be showing the download the Android Studio, and that is 4.1.1, that is for Android Windows 64 bits, right? So it's showing for the 64 bits, that is 896 MB. And there are other download options, you can also check that. In case you have any problem regarding the downloads, how it's going to support my computer or not support my computer, either it's so if my computer is a 32-bit, I may not be able to access it. These are just false myths. There are ample number of versions here. You can just go on to click on this. Like Android Studio downloads are there. Windows 64 bits, Mac 64 bits, and Linux and Chrome. And you can just have a look through these. There are offline components also with which you can have a download. You have also the downloads for the 32-bit, so you do not need to worry about if your computer is either a 32-bit or a 64-bit. Okay, so back to the course. Let's return to the pathway. And so we were creating the first app. So this is what an Android Studio dashboard looks like. So we'll just go through this, click on this first button, that is start a new Android Studio project. And when we click on this, it will take just a bit of time and open, depending upon the speed of the computer. Like it's loading the Android template files. There are certain kind of pre-built templates that are provided in the Android Studio, the activities, right? And the first activity that I'll be taking is an empty activity, and when I do this next, then I'll be directed to this configure your project page. So there are, if I see, here are number of projects available, the activities available based on your requirement. There is an add no activity, the basic activity, empty activity, bottom navigation activity, full screen activity, scrolling activity, tabbed activity, native app activity, Google Maps. So there are ample amount of applications that are available to you. Okay, there are ample amounts of applications that are available to you, and you can also have it for TV if you have to make an app for a TV or an Android Auto or different kinds of things. You can have a tablet version also. The most suitable, you can choose one and carry on. So my application, we can write it as my first application, and my first application is created. The location is saved as C. This is how you want to save it, anywhere you can save it as such. Then it's Java, but we'll select Kotlin here. And there are basic kind of requirements for your phones, right? What is the compatibility of your phone? Like API 16, it's an Android 4.1 Jelly Bean version. So your app will run on approximately 100% of devices. If I say that I want to take software of like KitKat, right? So Android 19. So it will show that your app will run on approximately 98.1% of devices. So it's up to you which type of version do you choose. If you support the recent one, the Marshmallow one, so it was like 84.9% of your devices, right? So it's basically on your what you want to build and the user experience that it is going to provide, right? So we are going to take the API 17, the Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, and this app will run approximately on 99.2% devices, and this will work definitely. So we'll just finish this project, and after this it takes a couple of minutes to make this project ready, because it's a heavy software to work with. Till then, until this is opening, we are going to start with the which we are talking about, and just skip a couple of processes that we were doing. You might be thinking why it's taking so much of time, but it's only because of the Android Studio, because it takes such a lot of time that I just want to close it, and I'm going to explain it with the help of this only, that how you're going to build these things, because it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to waste also. We are implementing it, but you'll be seeing. So firstly, the screen was visible. I have just created a new program, new Android Studio project. Then we went on with what type of activities which we want to choose. And thirdly, we went on configuring that activity. Simple as the best. So these three things I have already shown you. And so when you further explore to the panels, there are different kind of panels. There's this thing, the apps. Then we have the Android. These are the things, if you are implementing it side by side also, or if you are not implementing it side by side, you can just see here, scroll down, and but when you are doing the scores, do keep in mind to implement it side by side, because it's going to provide you a better user experience with that case. Otherwise it will be very difficult for you if you just cram some things and do implement it afterwards. You just forget some things, right? So firstly, just read the stuff, go through the stuff, implement it side by side, and that will be better for you in order to learn and grow more, right? So next, these are the things that we're going to explore. The Android manifesto main activity, how is it enabled, right? So there's a section where it's called Java, right? So or what the Kotlin says. So you can go there, you can click on the main activity under the com.example. That's how the word saves in the project, right? Next, .kt is an extension of the main activity. Actually, here the activity is shown to be in Java, but when the activity is in Kotlin, then it's stored with an extension of .kt. Then there's this layouts. When you go into this, as simple as that, the screen is visible to you all. There's these resources. When you enter into these resources, there's this drawable, there's this layout, and when you go through this layout, you can find this activity main.xml. And these are all the resources are provided mainly on the Android manifest XML only. So the Android manifest.xml, what is the purpose of it and why are we focusing on it and repeatedly telling it? The main activity is where you, firstly, there are two things. First is the main activity, another thing is the Android manifest XML. So what is the main activity and why are we focusing on it? And what is the Android manifest.xml and why are we focusing on it? The main activity will will have all the functions which are required in order to implement the functionality of the app. And Android manifest.xml will is basically creating the layout. It's giving you certain kind of permissions that will include the ability of your app to read the phones, to read the contacts, to send the data. To in fact, when we say that the certain app wants to access your location, so it's the enabling that you provide in the Android manifest.xml, right? So it's not like that if your device want to if your app want to access the device's camera, so it asks for your certain specifications. So that is all you provide in the Android manifest.xml. So that's why this Android manifest.xml seems to be very important from the point of view of an Android builder, right? Then further explore this, then we are going to implement an emulator. These are the steps to go through an emulator, but it's better to use the debug option that is provided in the advanced settings or the other settings in your mobile phones. You can go through there, you can enable the developer options, and there's always a developer option provided in your phones. You can go through it, and you can enable the USB debugging out there, and you can easily access that. That is a better way to access the apps, because Android Studio is originally a very hard software, means it's a very heavy one, which I have already shown you how, because it takes a lot of time to access, and even with a simple task also it takes a lot of time. So it's better for you all to do it on a this mobile phones only with through USB debugging, because that's much easier process and it takes a little bit of time only. As such, if you built it through an Android emulator, then it will increase your time. It will just increase a lot of. It takes a lot of time, and it will not provide anything beneficiary. And this is what is written in the side. Run your app in a physical device, that is simply turn on the USB debugging. So you can find your USB debugging options and the developer options in your phones. The developer option is simply in the advanced setting or the other settings, and you can go through there. You can explore this developer option. You can see how this works, and you can simply enable. So firstly, there's also written this thing. Do not think that if you enable the developer option, it will be active. You have to click tap to 7 to 8 times to enable that USB debugging in your phone. The coding challenges, there are certain kind of coding challenges. When you are working with it, you can get, these are all optionals, but you can just, in order to get yourself a better idea of how these things work, you can always take up the coding challenges. Summary, the first two important things that we have learned in this one is firstly the what is app doing, what is REST folder doing in the Android Studio. Right? We are also learning about what the Android manifest is doing and what is the Android manifest, and secondly the main activity in Kotlin, what it is doing. Because these two things are very important in order to implement the functionality. Then the AVD manager is implementing the Android virtual device, that is an emulator, or you can also use a debugger, USB debugging on your mobile phone by simply opening the developer options. So this is the end of the course for the first pathway, and you can simply take up this quiz to earn your first batch. And this is what a quiz looks like. You have just 4 to 5 simple questions. You can just refer to them. You can answer them. You can answer them multiple times. If you get wrong, if you get one correct out of 5, then also there is a possibility that you can apply. But you can try 4 to 5 times, or 10 times, or 20 times. It's up to you only. There's no limitation to this. And I also wanted to show you how the badges look like when they are added to your profile. First of all, the Google developers profile which is there is simply uh, yeah. So the Google developers profile which I was talking about, it's basically a private profile and it's only available to you. So unless and until you share us a screenshot of your development or your progress of the status of your application, will not be aware of your progress, right? So so first of all, what the thing you have to do is there, like this is what my profile looks like right now. Yeah, so these are the kind of batches, like if you like, when you will get this first Kotlin app, the build your first Kotlin app, then you will be getting this badge on your profile. You have to send this screenshot of your Google profile. Okay, so this profile is only accessible to you and is private, so we are asking you to take a screenshot of this profile and send us weekly. This will be a homework for you guys because that will be a easier way to check and track your progress. Okay. So this was something that I really wanted to tell you. Like we'll be keeping your progress through the way of showing your Google developers profile, and this is only accessible to you only. So you'll be providing us the link of it. So then the next is building an interactive app. The first app was such a basic app; it didn't contain anything that was that much important. But you just need to have it brief gist of it, because every fundamentals are very important while we are doing things, right? Then the anatomy of a basic Android app. Then take the code lab for that sake. Hmm. So anything, when you start with what you have to learn, you have to keep this thing in mind, that what you will learn. How to edit the app's layout file. So app's layout file, layout means Android XML, right? Android manifest.xml. How to create an app with an interactive behavior and a lot of new terminology. Check out the vocabulary glossary for the friendly explanations of terms and concepts. You can just go through the links that have been provided in the project, that because they are really helpful and they provide a lot of things. Then explore the manifest main activity Kotlin file and activities layout file. Edit the activities layout in XML. Add a button to the activities layout. So these are the things that you will be getting to work with. App overview. You will be making a dice roller in this app. And steps, you just have simply to follow these steps and you'll be able to create. So here I have talked about the linear layout. I've also talked about, because you see that here everything is aligned line by line. In this app, everything is assigned line by line. Like 2 is here, then role is there. So you do not need to create anything that is uh, side by side or implement it like that way. So it's easier to you. So you'll be using the linear layout for that. So this activity, there's always a solution code provided to you at the end of the challenge. You are also getting a coding challenge at the end of the event. You're also getting a summary of everything. Just comprise it to get the overview of what you are learning, what you are gonna do, and how you gonna do. Right? You're gonna get options to explore more. Don't there's no need to complete this course in a hurry. You can take time, you can refer to the links, you can refer to the references. We'll also be providing you the quizzes. These are the quizzes, the set of quizzes. We'll be also providing it and this will be important in grading your assignments that we'll be providing. So for now, we'll be for today's session, we are done with it, and we'll be So with this, I would like to end today's session. And if you have any queries or sort of anything, you can just drop in your queries, and I'll be responding in it as well. And okay, so from when and where we have to upload the SS. So the SS will be provided to you weekly. You can just upload your this. So we'll be telling this on the WhatsApp group that you have all joined. Will be in the option will be enabled for time being only, like we have provided it for 3 hours, then it will be for 3 hours only. You have to submit the progress within that specific amount of time. Okay, so I guess there are no more queries for the session, and if there are, please give it us in your chat box. It was great talking to you guys. Thank you so much for attending today's session. It was really a wonderful one, and please do stay tuned for the session 2 that will be conducted on the 23rd of December. Right, same time, 5 p.m. I'll see you there. If you have any further questions, do DM me yeah, do pinch me on the group, or in case you have any other query regarding this program or regarding how it is, or the Android Studio is not supporting these things or this, or you can also live chat. Within this, we have 2 to 3 minutes left, or we'll be just ending the stream if you do not have any doubts, and you can ask your doubts on the group. We'll be discussing it there only. Thank you so much for attending today's session, and I welcome you. Thank you all on behalf of the team DSC, and have a good day.